Greetings to all who are listening to this transmission. There are some powerful news from our Divine Mother God, our Creatrix. And the news is that the dying off process of the old humanity has intensified and is now happening across time-space continuum, and it is affecting every living being on this planet. The information that we are conveying comes from the source through the Antarctica portals, and especially through the office of Maitreya, or 11 divine dual masters that we refer to as a Heaven 11. The process of dying off is not necessarily negative or scary at all. So our divine help and support is here to tell us that within the new civilizational patterns, we can look through this with a very, very different eyes. So what is actually happening? The planet Pluto, that has always been referred to as the carrier of the signals and the vibrational frequencies that affect global consciousness, have just completed the retrograde journey. It started on the 27th of April and ended on the 6th of October, exactly on the new moon. During this time, Pluto was effectively traveling through all 12 and now added 13 house of the zodiac, of the horoscope, because those houses were holding the vibrational programs for many, many suffering and negative and unpleasant occurrences in the human reality. Of course, this is all based on the illusionary programming, and yet humanity was experiencing it as a very real and very painful. So wiping off all of these programs means that all of the energies that have been created based on these programs are now like a tree without a root. They're dying off. There is nothing to feed them. There is nothing to keep them in place. So probably everybody who is sensitive is experiencing this process as a huge intensity, density, feeling of dying, and we are not using this word lightly. It is not anymore just releases, letting go, deleting certain programs, forgiveness, and so forth, which are also very valid aspects of the global ascension. However, we have come to the point of literally dying off. Lots of fear, lots of physical symptomatology, lots of sense of tiredness, lots of sense of emotional and mental aspects of death and dying. All these elements are present. So not only the aspects that each person have created and participated on are just dying off now, but there is an additional element with humanity which we also want to mention and explain with the proverbial grain of salt. So every human being within the previous civilizational pattern was very often hosting in their body the aspects of the previous generations of humanity that were out of embodiment, say dead ones. They were living through the living. And many people would have so much attachment and intensity of this kind around them that they were hardly living their own life. They're still allowing the disembodied ones to live through them. So now those aspects are dying off second time. Now their host is disintegrating, so they are going through the second level of dying. They are disoriented. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. This is a time to very lovingly help all of these energies to complete their journeys and to complete and close the old polarity-based civilization of the humanity and start the new one. You will be experiencing during this time acute or more latent aspects of death and dying in these 8 sequences. One is the anticipation. Humanity was afraid of death even while they were very happy and alive. There was always that underlying fear that the death will come one day. Fear is the second element which was crippling the human existence. Resistance is often associated with death and dying. Like, no, there is no way to leave the body or to succumb to death and dying. Then there is a shock. Even if somewhere in the consciousness was clear that each person that have come into the birth will come through the death, because birth and death are opposites, not life and death. That was the blasphemy of the mind. Life is an eternal occurrence, but birth and death are opposites. So everyone who has come through birth will live through death. However, at the time of this happening, there was a profound program on the fear base for shock. So people were going through absolute shock of dying. We're talking in a global system, not certain individuals. Some beautiful people actually knew how to die gracefully. After that is the huge amount of anger, which is experienced with this shift. After that comes acceptance. After that comes the unwilling closure. And the eighth element is something that humanity never managed to reach, and that is rapture. Because the process of dying is a happy event, is an extremely magical event. The spirit, now liberated from the full-on body experience, goes into this rapture, joy, amazingness. May sound very strange to some, and yet it was part of some ancient civilizations, and in a deep state within themselves, many people also experience that. However, rapture needs to become global phenomena. So, in a way, divine consciousness is inviting us now to experience that in this fashion. Because if you ever completed something, that is accompanied by the feeling of accomplishment, satisfaction, and joy. So, for instance, you were writing a book, you've completed a project, you have been building a house. It's very happy when you complete building the house. So, only when the human being experience completion of their life journey, of their life cycle, that was considered a big tragedy. Not at all. It is equally associated with the sense of, wow, we have accomplished this, amazing. Joy, celebration. Party, is that a bit too much to offer the component of let's have the dying of party celebration? Is it too much? Is it too little? And yet, standing in the truth, these aspects are coming to us in the new civilization to be accepted and lived. So within this spectrum of happening, between the 6th of October until the 22nd of February, so numerologically 22/02/2022, this huge process of dying off is only going to accelerate, and humanity is simply going through it. Divine Mother, Divine Source, through the matrix of this work, through the matrix of the Source Force, is offering her help, assistance, magical, transformational patterns for the entire paradigm, helping us into the physiological aspect, because this is experienced in the body. DNA of humanity was limited by the telomere that was activated to be the death key. So the body is now waking up, is stopping, it's accepting something new. So to completely avoid any misunderstanding, it is not dying off of the humanity, it's the dying off of the old humanity. And at the same time, in magic, starting the new one, the new journey and the new civilization. So Divine Mother is offering help, protocols, support. Let's come together to support each other and to work with the entire humanity to support this global process. In a practical sense, you may wish to stay tuned with the Facebook pages of Quan One and Source Force, or explore perhaps joining the Source Force, or one way or the other, be open to receive this incredible help, assistance, love, peace, and bliss from our Divine Mother. Keep going, keep growing, keep glowing in the ascension energies.